official Royal Australian Air Force live stream of the Mindil Beach flying display, which is part of Exercise Pitch Black 2024. My name is Flight Lieutenant Greg Hinks, and I'll be your commentator here this afternoon. We are live at Mindil Beach in Darwin in the Northern Territory, Australia, and over the next 90 minutes, we'll have a spectacular lineup of aircraft with some of the 20 nations taking part in Exercise Pitch Black. Weather, absolutely stunning, and the conditions perfect for them to come in nice and low and loud. You're going to see aircraft from our closest allies and friends, some of whom are here at Exercise Pitch Black for the very first time. So we welcome all of those participating nations, and of course you watching here today online, here in Australia and all around the world. So make sure you drop us a like, a share, or even a comment in our comment section just to let us know where you're watching from. We are only moments away from our very first aircraft coming through, which will be a United States Marine Corps Boeing V-22 Osprey tilt-wing aircraft from the Red Dragons. In fact, coming from the right now, you're going to see it coming in with its rotors forward in the fixed wing position. Now, right now, here comes the Osprey from the Red Dragons, which is VMM 268 from the United States Marine Corps. Now, the primary function is the amphibious assault transport of troops, equipment and supplies from assault ships and, of course, land bases as well. The Boeing V-22 tilt-rotor Osprey is a multi-engine, dual-piloted, self-deployable medium-lift vertical takeoff and landing, which we call VTOL, tilt-rotor aircraft designed for combat, combat support, combat service support and special operations missions worldwide. The aircraft can carry up to 24 combat troops. Right now, you're going to see it coming in from the front, and it's moved into the tilt-rotor position, kind of like a helicopter.
1981, and it became operational in 2007. So it's been flying for 17 years and supporting Murphy for the last several years.
There are plenty of people on the beach here today looking forward to this as it comes in nice and low, head on here at Mindil Beach this afternoon. I'd like to welcome Squadron Leader Eamon Hamilton, who is part of the team here with Exercise Pitch Black. Pitch Black, you know, it's not the first time we've seen these aircraft here, of course.
No, that's right. So the US Marine Corps Marine Rotation Force in Darwin has been based up here throughout the year for a couple of years now. So Ospreys have had a hand in the last couple of Pitch Blacks, at least since 2018, I think, from memory. They're also involved in many of the other defence exercises that are conducted up here. So they've become a pretty familiar sight for everyone up in the top end as they come in and out of Darwin on exercises.
Now, throughout the display today, obviously you'll see the V-22 Osprey from the United States Marine Corps in the hover just above the water, right at Crowd Centre. You're going to see the aircraft come in from the north here today. They'll come into Mindil Beach, very much where the Osprey is right now. Most aircraft will then come through and do an orbit so we can get a really good look at them. Then they'll head south with some very special displays from some of our very good friends, both Air Force, Royal Australian Air Force and our international partners. It's a pretty impressive aircraft, this one, Eamon.
For an aircraft that's over 30 years old now, since its first flight, it still looks pretty futuristic. It's based on a concept developed by the Bell company back in the 60s, developed throughout the 80s and took its first flight in 1989. So it's been around for a little while now, but it still draws a crowd and a bit of attention and a great start to the Mindil Beach display today.
It's amazing the technology. Obviously, we're talking about how, obviously, with the tilt rotor system, it was a long time in development and brings this amazing aircraft that can operate like a helicopter or a fixed wing aircraft.
That's right. I think there's only one other aircraft operating today, also made by Bell, that's a tilt rotor in service. So certainly a very unique aircraft.
So off it goes around and it will come back for another orbit. We've got a bit of a display, a handling display from the Red Dragons here today, all part of Exercise Pitch Black 2024. And of course, as it comes around, you'll see a ship in the distance, and that's our mates from the Italian Navy. That's their frigate Alpino, which accompanies the Italian aircraft carrier, the Cavour, which is the first aircraft carrier to join Exercise Pitch Black, and it's from the Italian Strike Group.
So give it up for the V-22 as they're flying by.
Here we go for the final pass of the V-22 Osprey. The crowd absolutely thoroughly enjoying the display already today, and we've got a whole stack more to come.
I would say it's easier to teach being a fixed-wing pilot because 90% of the time the V-22 is operating in that airplane mode. It's only for about that.
Now, I mean, Exercise Pitch Black, what iteration is this? How many years have we been with this exercise?
Well, it's 43 years this year, in point of fact, from fairly humble origins. So the first pitch black took place over 3 days in June of 1981 from RAF Base Williamtown, I should say. Held again in July of 1982, and then in 1983 moved up to RAF Base Darwin. And ever since then, it's been held up here more or less at Darwin the entire time. There's only been a handful of instances where they've gone back to the East Coast before they've, but otherwise they've kept the exercise up here.
And this time around, there's aircraft obviously based here in Darwin, RAF Base Tyndall, and also RAF Base Amberley down in southeast Queensland.
That's right. So what we're looking at this exercise is most of the tankers. So the area we're refuelling tankers are out at Amberley near Brisbane, down at Tyndall, so near Katherine, about 300 clicks south of Darwin, are F-35s from the RAF 75 Squadron. Shout out to them there. And F-22s from the US Air Force. There's also a tanker down there. Otherwise, pretty much the main show for all of the countries and a lot of the RAF assets act this exercise are all up in Darwin.
And it's pretty amazing to see that each year that exercise pitch black just keeps to grow and grow with a lot of new nations taking part every time we do it. In fact, in just a few moments, we're going to see one of those nations that are bringing their aircraft through for the very first time, being Papua New Guinea.
That's right. It's pretty special having them here at this exercise. If anyone knows their history would probably appreciate Australia's aviation links into New Guinea and Papua New Guinea are fairly close. Having Papua New Guinea here at this exercise is a very special moment for the history of the exercise.
As I said, it is a beautiful day here at Mindil Beach, perfect for flying. A lot of people here on the beach enjoying themselves here today already. They've been lining up with their picnic blankets, just ready for what will be 90 minutes of some of the world's most technological aircraft from many different origins, including fifth generation aircraft, which we're going to see a bit later on. In fact, there'll be quite a number of different variants of the F-35 appearing here today with the Italian Navy, the Italian Air Force, and of course the Royal Australian Air Force as well.
Oh no, he flew off to the left-hand side.
Oh, that's like, what am I looking at on the right-hand side?
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, if you look at your right-hand side coming in now, almost just...
Well, here we go with one of our first-time participants. As we mentioned, the Papua New Guinea Defence Force bringing in their PNG PAC 750. Now, this is manufactured by Pacific Aviation New Zealand. The PAC 750 is a light utility aircraft used for a multitude of purposes, including skydiving. You'll see the door as it comes past, aerial photography and surveying. Look, this is capable of extremely short takeoff and landing and is an ideal small transport aircraft for the PNG Defence Force, who signed an agreement for 4 aircraft back in 2016. And of course, Papua New Guinea, first-time participants here, bringing an aircraft to exercise pitch black as they come through, do their orbit and showcase the aircraft here at the Mindil Beach Flying Display.
strips, very short strips, as it gets airborne.
For anyone that can remember the venerable de Havilland Canada Caribou that would have participated in pitch black and conducted a lot of flying operations up in Papua New Guinea for many years, the PAC 750 fills a similar role within the exercise, being able to conduct transport pretty much anywhere we need to get people around the Northern Territory. There are a lot of places where you wouldn't necessarily be able to fly a F-22 or a Eurofighter. The PAC 750 is very capable of getting people where they need to be up here.
And we want to say thanks for joining us at the live stream on the Air Force's official live stream of the Mindil Beach flying display here today. We want to say welcome to people who have joined us from the United Kingdom, India, Japan, Singapore, Newcastle and Italy already to enjoy what we're enjoying here in Darwin, Australia. Renee from Italy is watching at the moment, Peter in India, John in Melbourne, Derek in New Zealand and Victor in South Australia. So there's people from all over at the moment watching and enjoying the flying display. We have plenty more to come, including some of our 5th gen fighters. We're going to see some of the most amazing aircraft from all around the world here in Darwin.
There are 2 of them. I can see them to the right.
In just a moment, to the right, we're going to see 2 of our Australian Army ARH Tigers coming through.
So they are one aviation regiment. They live down at Robertson Barracks, or what we call Robbo Barracks, down south of Palmerston. Been in service since 2004.
So, of course, these aircraft are based right here in Darwin, and the primary function of the Australian Army ARH Tiger is a 2-seat attack helicopter that performs a wide range of missions, including fast attack, area suppression and reconnaissance.
The highly capable aircraft. I was lucky enough to kind of go on the simulator here at One Haven.
So coming in low from the right now, you're going to see them, the Australian Army ARH Tiger.
Lucky enough to, with instructors how to go. I can barely hover, but flying this thing in the sim was dead.
So the Tiger's operated by the 1st Aviation Regiment based out of Robertson Barracks here in Darwin. It's been in service with the Army since 2004 and will be replaced by 2028 by the introduction of the AH-64 Apache, which will begin next year.
Again, operating from Robertson Barracks up in Darwin, so similar to the Osprey, in fact, all year round, another local favourite for the Darwin community up here.
So while this is a particularly familiar aircraft to the area, it's always great to see them coming here along the beach nice and low, and we're going to see plenty more very soon. We'll have the Italian Navy, the Italian Air Force, the French Air Force, French Air and Space Force rather.
Italian pilots away when they make their way by.
So as we said, they come through. Make sure you give them a wave as you come through.
So the beautiful thing about these aircraft,
And obviously, you'll see the way the aircraft come in from the north. They'll come in and do an orbit around the bay, and then they'll move out to the south, where the next aircraft will then come in through the north and enjoy a great scenic view of Mindil Beach. And of course, the people here watching today. And of course, you should be getting a nice, fantastic view from our cameras here at Mindil Beach.
auto hover, hands off, and it will, which is really good for risk. I go on a Kiowa, learning how to hover, just a one-off, and I kept creeping forward. I just instinctively wanted to just keep moving forward. So the instructor sat me in front of some trees and went, "See how you go now, Wongy?" I was spot on. So if you want to move right, for example, in the hover and the helicopter, the saying is you don't actually move right, you just think it right, and you'll move right. Listen to the sound of the choice. The aircraft.
And there we go, coming through and heading off to the south. The Australian Army ARH Tiger.
You're on ABC Radio Darwin live from the
Now very shortly we're going to have another one of our first time participants here to Pitch Black at 2024, and of course it's the Philippine Air Force, and we welcome all of our international partners who've joined us here today and showcasing their aircraft and of course the air and ground crews that keep them flying as well. Now, Squadron Leader Hamilton, you've been involved with Pitch Black for many, many years, and you've been around it. The atmosphere, particularly with the international participants coming through, they really enjoy coming to Darwin and being part of this.
Yeah, look, it's funny. You think it can't get any bigger, or no one can bring anything new that we haven't seen at this exercise before, and then 2 years later, Italy brings an aircraft carrier. Philippines brings what the Philippines brings by their joy of being here. Papua New Guinea brings a PAC 750, and we still haven't seen Spain arrive at this exercise yet. They're coming a little bit later on in the piece, and I think they'll bring something special. So it's the atmosphere that you get at every exercise and what everyone brings along to it. Even if some of them are flying a lot of the same aircraft, everyone feels a little bit different from the last one, and a little bit sort of more and bigger than what came before.
And you're seeing a lot of integration, not just with the aircraft that are flying, but also with our ground people as well. Like we've got firefighters from the the Royal Air Force in the UK. We've got our mates from New Zealand who are part of the exercise as well. Some nations, of course, haven't brought aircraft, but they're still very much an integral part of it.
The fact is, you wouldn't be able to get these aircraft up in the air without that team on the ground, and the support that we get from all of these countries. We've got air movements teams from Fiji at this exercise. Fiji is at this exercise for the first time, and the fact is that if the cargo is not going to be able to come off the aircraft, or if we've got to pull it all out of a Herc or an A400 or a C-17 ourselves, that's just going to make things so much harder to do. So to be able to bring all of these countries, all of their support teams, combat support, to be able to do this exercise together, whether in the messes, whether in the kitchens, and whether in air movements, security, a range of other functions. It's not just about what's going on in the air, it's about what the working together on the ground to make it happen is what's important.
And a highlight for everyone who is at Pitch Black, obviously, is when the chefs from all around the world provide some of the food in the mess. It's pretty amazing to be able to have that international flavour.
That's right, and I can say on good authority that if you get invited to go to the Thai kitchen, to the Thai mess rather, at their detachment, you always take that invitation. It is probably the best Thai meal you'll ever have.
There are so many elements to exercise Pitch Black, from the air and of course on the ground, and this time for the first time we've got an Italian aircraft carrier, the Cavour, who've brought along some of the aircraft that we will see a little bit later on. It's amazing to think that we've got the Italian Navy that wants to be part of what predominantly is an air exercise.
Yeah, they've actually, I think from memory, they've got at least 2, and I think they've got 3 fixed-wing aircraft carriers that they do sail. I think they may be in transition. You can probably look that up, but it's just so remarkable to have the Italian Navy with an aircraft carrier at this exercise. It's the first time an aircraft carrier has participated in a Pitch Black. We've seen aircraft carriers at Talisman Sabre or Kangaroo or other exercises in this country for decades. Even our own aircraft carrier, the Melbourne, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And it's just remarkable to have that presence here from the Italian Navy sailing through the region and working with our own forces here.
And the beauty about coming to the Northern Territory particularly is the nature of the terrain and how large our area is that they can train in, because a lot of these countries they don't have that space that they can do this sort of training.
We're using a military airspace that is larger than many of the countries. I think the calculations on the back of the napkin were that the exercise airspace for Pitch Black is larger than the landmass of Great Britain. So to be able to get out there and mission plan and coordinate across these large missions and not have to worry about whether or not you're going to fly over the wrong line on a map and fly into controlled airspace for an airport or somewhere else. A lot of the countries coming here really appreciate that. They would come here, I think, every year if they had the opportunity to, and they really appreciate coming to Pitch Black to train in that airspace, because they just can't do it back where they're from.
And very shortly we're going to see the Philippine Air Force joining us with the FA-50 Fighting Eagle. It's only moments away here at Mindil Beach.
Through the Philippines, I think on their way, on their way, Peter, is that the case?
Yeah, that's the case. Just to let you know the interesting facts about the Fighting Eagle.
And online around Australia, watching at the moment, we've got James in Adelaide, we've got people in Perth, Newcastle, Sydney, Orange in New South Wales, Canberra, Tasmania, the Sunshine Coast, and of course Melbourne. So people from all around Australia joining us here today to see the spectacular display that we're seeing live here at Mindil Beach in Darwin, the Northern Territory of Australia. And of course, welcome to our international viewers as well, who are watching from all around the world to enjoy this.
It's pretty remarkable having Philippines here at the exercise for the very first time. Not only that, it is the first time they have deployed combat aircraft out of the Philippines. So in the history of their Air Force, Pitch Black is not only their debut at this exercise, it is their debut at any exercise of this kind. So certainly when they touched down last week in Darwin, it was really emotional to see them making the journey out here.
And to the right now coming through, you'll see the FA-50 Fighting Eagle from the Philippine Air Force. Now in the lead aircraft, you've got Lieutenant Colonel Mimu Rabina and Captain Whirlpool Salangoy. And the wingman is Captain Mantis Davila and Major Takuza Carbonell. And they are from the 7th Tactical Fighter Squadron, the 5th Fighter Wing. The Bulldogs roll the dice. Now, of course, this aircraft, the FA-50 Fighting Eagle, is operated by the Philippines, and it's a light fighter which resembles the F-16 but is considerably smaller. Developed in the late 90s, it first flew in 2002 and definitely capable of supersonic flight, and being small, it's very manoeuvrable. Other users include Thailand, South Korea, Poland, Malaysia and Indonesia, and it is the Philippine Air Force first time at Pitch Black 24 and the first time taking aircraft out of the Philippines.
So as mentioned before, it's seeing one up close. It really does feel like a little F-16. It's got a radar. It can deliver guided weapons, but it's also got a second seat in the back. So it's really useful for training as well. And it's fantastic to see them up here for the very first time.
It really is the place to be if you really love aircraft and a plane spotter or anything like that.
Look, short of going to the Philippines, you wouldn't see this anywhere else. At least not from the Philippines Air Force. And having met them and experienced their hospitality and friendliness, I'm already looking forward to seeing them come back for Pitch Black 26.
And of course, Exercise Pitch Black is every 2 years, so we'll see it again after this finishes at the beginning of August in 2 years' time. As they come in for their second pass.
You would express your distance apart in rotor width. How would you express that for a fixed-wing aircraft?
That's a good question, Bob, so I'm not allowed to do that. What can I call you? Nelly? That'll do.
No, go back to the normal one.
So Peter, yeah, quite often we will express our distance in relation to features on the aircraft. When they're flying formation, they're not actually measuring that out. There's no sort of avionics that can give you that distance. When you're actually lining up, either there might be a rivet,
And we want to thank the team from the Philippine Air Force for joining us here with the Mindil Beach display today. The next aircraft that will be coming through in just a moment is something that's not unfamiliar to us, maybe a slightly different variant, but the Malaysian FA-18D model.
Now here's one for the viewers out there. The FA-50s are each powered by an F404 engine, so with two FA-50s coming over us now. The Malaysian FA-18D is powered by two F404 engines. So let's see if anyone can hear the difference as they come in through after the FA-50s.
So the roulettes, for those that don't know, are the aerobatic team. We only have one ADF aerobatic team, and that's the RAF roulette. We have other aircraft.
Big shout out to anyone watching from the Philippines. We've got a massive following on Royal Australian Air Force social media from the Philippines. So if you are watching from the Philippines today, give us a shout out in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Flying them purely for the joy of you guys on the beach at Mindil and that sort of thing. But unfortunately, we're not here today. These are all the aircraft that are operating out of Pitch Black.
So all these aircraft are operational aircraft. So as I said before,
The Malaysian FA-18D will be coming through in just a moment, and as Hinksy mentioned before, not an unfamiliar aircraft to this exercise. The Malaysians were last here in 2018 and before that 2008, but obviously the FA-18D is very, very similar to our own classic Hornets that we retired in 2001. So I think people might have noticed the absence of the classic Hornet at 2022, and the Malaysians have come through. It's always fantastic to see the Malaysians when they come to this exercise.
And a good point of difference would be, obviously seeing the legacy Hornets here coming through from the Royal Malaysian Air Force to what our Super Hornets are. They're quite different aircraft.
Yeah, in fact, from memory, the Malaysians got their FA-18Ds in the 90s, so a little while after we got our classic Hornets, and then a little while before we got our Super Hornets, about 2010 from memory, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So yeah, it's still a very capable airframe, especially for something that was originally designed in the 1970s. McDonnell Douglas and later Boeing continued to update it and upgrade it, and the Malaysians, I think, have got really good use out of it.
And the aircraft from the Royal Malaysian Air Force joining us are from Butterworth. Obviously, we still have a detachment in Butterworth.
That's right. There's still a RAF squadron. Someone in the comments, please shout out with the RAF base support squadron that's up there because the number escapes me. But there are also a number of aircraft that go through there throughout the year. And we're also up in Butterworth fairly often with exercises as part of the FPDA for the Bersama series exercises, which usually happen twice a year.
Coming in from the right, we'll see the Royal Malaysian Air Force FA-18D Hornets. Now, the Hornet's operated by number 18 Squadron from Butterworth Air Base, just located in Penang, the island of Malaysia. This FA-18D, also known as the Legacy Hornet, is a versatile dual-seater multi-role combat aircraft. It's designed for training and operational purposes, both in air-to-air and air-to-ground, which excels through utilisation of its cutting-edge radar and weaponry. Now, the Hornet enhances Malaysia's defence capabilities, ensuring air superiority and effective response to threats. Its integration underscores the nation's commitment to maintaining a robust and modern air force. And it's great having them here and seeing them fly today in a nice little formation.
And if you're watching from home and you've got a browser open, jump on and Google Pikachu Hornet. The Malaysians have been kind enough to bring one of their anniversary aircraft this year. With the sun in the background, I can't quite see the markings on one of them, but if you have a look at Pikachu Hornet, you'll get a bit of an appreciation for what we've all been enjoying the sight of at Exercise Pitch Black this year.
We are down at Mindil Beach, Liz Travascus with you. There's still space on the beach, everyone, following my instructions earlier.
From our Malaysian friends to the French, only moments away from the Air and Space Force. And they're going to be bringing through a number of aircraft together.
So Pitch Black 24 marks 20 years since the French came to the exercise for the first time. In fact, they landed on Bastille Day 2004 with their Mirages and C-135 FR tanker. They participated in a couple more Pitch Blacks after that with their Casa from Noumea. And then for the last couple of Pitch Blacks have brought their Rafales and Pegasus MRTT tankers. So it's been fantastic seeing them come back to Pitch Black in a big way.
And Noah is watching in France right now, and he's, I'm sure, very excited to see the next lot of aircraft when they come through. We've also got Peter from Wagga, Anis in the Tiwi Islands, Judith in Sydney, and Loz and Jen in Adelaide watching. The Philippines, Davey's watching, and there are a lot of Pikachu fans in the comments, Eamon.
That's outstanding to hear. I'm sorry that we couldn't quite get the angle, but if you follow us on our social media channels for Royal Australian Air Force or Oz Air Force, we will try and catch them all, as they say.
And your question before about the RAAF squadron in Butterworth, 19 Squadron.
Yeah, look, I knew someone would have the answer in the comments.
That's the beauty of having a live stream like this, is we can ask those questions and we can get the answers straight away.
I often listen to podcasts and shout the answers at the speaker, and again, yep, you're right, Hinksy. The beauty of live streaming is we can get the answer right away.
We're going to see some pretty amazing aircraft coming up. You did mention the Rafale before, and we're about to see that. You can just see it in the distance coming in from the right. What we're going to be seeing is an A400, which is an amazing aircraft. Designed and manufactured by Airbus. It's a tactical airlift transport aircraft that has some strategic capability. In size, it kind of sits between C-130 Hercules and the C-17 Globemaster. It can be configured to transport cargo, military personnel. They can drop paratroops, conduct medical evacuations, or even carry out aerial refueling. Can operate out of short, soft landing strips and fly long-range cargo. A typical cargo load might include 6 Land Rovers and their trailers, or 2 light armoured vehicles, or even a dump truck and excavator, or a Patriot missile system, or a Puma or Cougar helicopters that are pretty big, or even a truck or a 25-tonne trailer. And you'll see that coming through right now with a Rafale off each wingtip.
With 4 days to get here from France.
Yeah, actually, 4 days with stops in UAE and Singapore, along with our British friends, with our Tattoos.
And would you like to describe for our audience what exactly it is?
And the Dassault Rafale, its literal meaning is a gust of wind or a burst of fire, which is very appropriate for the aircraft. And it's a twin-engine Canard Delta wing, multi-role fighter aircraft. In service with the French Air and Space Force and the French Navy, it's referred to as an omni-role 4.5 gen aircraft. The Rafale has a very high level of manoeuvrability and can withstand a maximum of 11 Gs, which is absolutely crazy. It uses fly-by-wire controls, has a full glass cockpit and multi-role electronically scanned radar. And we welcome our mates from the French Air and Space Force here today, and of course Noah watching. So right now coming through, the Rafales have broken away from the A400 and will do their own little display.
Fast, heavy, fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That Rafale
can slide down to 100 knots and up to max 1.6. And as you can see, and thanks very much for that fly pass. Make a big
Beautiful
round of
fly
applause.
past there for our French Air and Space Force people. Coming up, we've got our very first fighter display of the exercise with the Italian Navy joining us in just a couple of minutes. We're going to be seeing a demonstration of the Italian Navy 8B Harriers and the Lockheed F-35B.
What are we looking forward to seeing? What are you about to tell us about Darius? Bring that mic up, nice.
Good afternoon once again, Mama. We're here to celebrate Beach Black 24 with our aircraft.
And before we get into the Italian Navy, I would like to welcome from the Italian Air Force Colonel Anastasi from the Aeronautica Militare. Welcome to Pitch Black 2024.
Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Anastasia. I'm the Deputy Commander of the Italian Detachment of Aeronautica Militare based in Darwin. I'm very, very pleased to be here. Thank you very much.
Now, we're going to be seeing the Italian Navy first, and then, of course, your aircraft will be coming through. This is the aircraft that you're commanding here on Pitch Black?
Yes, the F-35 Bravo and Alpha version, Aeronautica Militare has deployed in here. And we got also other fighter jet, like one of the most important aircraft, fighter jet, European, which is the Eurofighter. Then we deployed also the Boeing 767, which is the carrier and air-to-air refueling aircraft. And then we got the high-value asset, which is the G550 EW for electronic warfare. So a lot of assets, a lot of capabilities deployed in here in Darwin for the Pitch Black 24.
Well, the weather is absolutely stunning for a fly past today. You being a pilot yourself, you know, are you jealous that you're not in the air right now?
Absolutely, yes. It is a dream, absolutely. I would like to be here. I would like to fly over this fantastic beach. It's a great opportunity for us.
Now, of course, it's the first time that the Italian Defence Forces have joined us here at Exercise Pitch Black. You've been here for just over a week now. How are you enjoying Darwin and Australia?
I like Australia. Australia is one of the best nations in the world. The beaches and the environment is absolutely great. We are really, really happy of being here. The people are great, is great, and really we are enjoying this period in Australia for sure.
Of course, you're talking to the pilots every day, your pilots from the Italian Air Force. What are they saying about the flying here in Australia?
They like it very much. The airspace is huge. In Italy, we dream always airspace like this. The Pitch Black is a great opportunity of sharing tactics and procedures to increase our level of performance for sure.
Now, Colonel Anastasi, we'll come back to you in just a moment because joining us right now from the Italian Navy. We've got a great demonstration coming up with some of our hovering fighter technology in the form of the Italian AV-8B Harrier and the Lockheed F-35B. And of course, the B variant just a little bit different. The AV-8B Harrier jump jet came into service back in 1985 with the United States Marine Corps. And of course, the Italian Navy took delivery in 1995, capable of both air-to-air and ground attack or maritime strike missions. Look, the aircraft is being replaced by the F-35B, itself capable of vertical takeoff and landing, and clearly much more capable based on more modern technology. And we're going to see a pretty spectacular flying display as they come in from the rear straight to the front of Crowd Centre in formation with the two F-35B Lightning II and the Harrier jump jet.
There's so many people down on Mindil Beach this afternoon. When those aircraft make their way back around as the noise begins, if you've got a round, red, very handy ABC fan on hand, we're going to give them a wave.
So it's always pretty spectacular seeing these aircraft come through in formation as they slightly change formation to come straight up the beach.
We'll see them going all over the place.
Give them a wave, guys.
There we go. As the two Harriers breaking left and right, the lead F-35B pulling up and exiting. What a spectacular formation from the Italian Navy here at Mindil Beach this afternoon. It is low and loud here at Mindil Beach this afternoon.
That's the first time I've jumped this evening.
So this has definitely been a crowd favourite so far. Now something pretty special here at the Mindil Beach Flying Display for Pitch Black 2024. You'll see the Harriers and the F-35Bs coming in. They're going to do a very special hover display. And of course with these aircraft you're going to see two very different levels of technology between the Harrier and the F-35. So here we go, coming up on crowd centre, the F-35B Lightning II and the Harrier. Straight into the hover. And a special bow. Right then and there, the people on the boats in the bay have just had a spectacular view with the spray coming off the water from the aircraft. The old and the new of the Italian Navy with the Harrier and the F-35B. As I bring back in Colonel Anastasi from the Aeronautica Militari, a pretty spectacular display there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see what the Air Force next. I'm sure they will be the same, at least the same.
Well, the great thing is you're going to see multiple aircraft from the Italian Air Force coming through in formation together.
Yes, we will have, as I said, the F-35 with the Bravo version, as we saw now with Navy. Also, the Air Force got the Bravo version for short and vertical landing. Short takeoff and vertical landing, and then we got also the Alpha version. Then we got the Eurofighter, which is one of the best fighter jet in Europe. And then we got the G550 information with the tanker. Let's see.
And you'll have a KC-767 there as well. So that's the air-to-air refueling.
Yes, the air-to-air refueler is a force multiplier, a high-value asset. It's very important for us to refuel and, can increase the endurance of the fighter jet. This is something very important, very appreciated for the entire coalition, everywhere, spread around entire the world.
So for a display like this that the Italian Air Force will be doing here at Mindil Beach, what rehearsals would you go through for this? Or is this just standard manoeuvres?
No, it's not standards. It requests a long planning, but these guys are very, very well trained to do this kind of maneuvers and exercises. So I think it's a normal procedure for us, let's say.
And of course we do know that there are people watching right now from your home country on our stream with the Royal Australian Air Force live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. In Italy there is a very important attention on this exercise, which is one of the most important in the world. Pitch Black 24 for us means a lot, and we are really happy to be here with all our assets, very far away from the world, because we are deployed with all these assets on the other side of the world, which means a lot for us, a very important effort in terms of deployment capabilities and logistic support.
And that's the thing is, like, obviously we're seeing what's in the air today, but quite often, we've got hundreds of people on the ground that keep these aircraft flying and also prepare for displays such as what we're about to see.
Yeah, I think for these people is a great chance, a great show. This is a dream for a pilot like me. When I was a young guy, I always dreamed to be a pilot, and now that I see all these aircraft all together, for me is really great. Is a dream for sure.
Coming from Italy, how long did it take you to bring the aircraft here? It would have been a few days?
Yeah, it took days, and is one of the most important things and the objective that we reach for this campaign, because in no more than 6 days we deployed all the aircraft here, which is something incredible that we made. From the other side of the world, bringing 16 aircraft here, making some stopover all around the world, and this is something that we have tested and request a logistic support and logistic effort very, very important, but we made that.
Well, Colonel, we are so glad that the Italian Air Force are here.
Yeah, we are glad too. Really, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, you'll see them coming through now. It's time for the Aeronautica Militare. Now, the Italian Air Force is participating for the very first time in exercise Pitch Black. The formation that flies over Mindil Beach today brings together all the elements of Italian aerospace power. We're talking defence, attack, mobility, intelligence and security. You'll see there the KC-767A is a twin-engine aircraft used for both air-to-air refuelling and passenger and cargo transport, so it's pretty diverse with what it can do. Followed by two 5th-gen F-35 Omni-Roll fighters. The Aeronautica Militare is the only air force in Europe to have the F-35 in both the conventional takeoff and landing version, and in the B model with short takeoff and vertical landing, which can operate even from short runways. You'll see them there doing a very tight turn. The Eurofighter, on the other hand, it's a multi-role fighter that the Italian Air Force uses mainly for the defence of the airspace of Italy and NATO countries in international air policing operations. And finally, the E550 CAEW, it's a multi-sensor system with aerial surveillance, command, control and communications functions to monitor the airspace from above and create security bubbles to promptly alert the air defence in case of threat. So it's a pretty diverse range of aircraft you brought here, Colonel.
Yeah, the G550 EW is for electronic warfare, give us the air superiority, so complete air superiority in the sky to understand and increase the situational awareness of everybody. So for us it's a very high value asset, and we brought in here just to show our capabilities, which is very important with this asset, also with the fighter jets.
And it's important when we see aircraft like that coming through together. It's really showing the Italian Air Force working together in its own units, as well as the bigger picture of being able to work with international partners like we're seeing here at Pitch Black.
Yeah, that is a great opportunity to increase our tactics and techniques and procedures, and to share our information, and to increase our level of ambition, comparing and increasing the standardization with all the other assets, and increasing our capability of using our asset, even if it's very high level at this time.
Well, Colonel, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here to talk us through what we've been seeing. Welcome to Pitch Black for you and your team, and thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Colonel Anastasi from the Aeronautica Militare here at Mindil Beach. We are only moments away from some of our first RAAF aircraft. In fact, in the distance from the right, you're going to see them coming through.
Something a little bit different. Every now and then, you might have to block your ears. It's happening down here on the beach. And Peter, what are we looking forward to now, or our special Italian commentator?
Waiting for E550, which is a multi-sensor system with aerial surveillance, command and control.
So we still have more of our Italian Air Force mates coming through.
And create security bubbles from the left here.
G'day everyone, some familiar shapes coming over, just not quite the Air Force as we're normally used to seeing them here. So the G550 Conformal Airborne Early Warning, something that Singapore has brought to the Pitch Blacks for something that Singapore has brought to Pitch Black for a little while now also being brought to us from all the way from Italy here today with some F-35s from the Italian Air Force as well.
Talking to Colonel Anastasi there, just, hearing how happy they're able to be, happy they are to be here at an exercise like this.
Yeah, look, I said some pretty kind things about the Italian Air Force before, but Italian Navy, I should say before, but I'd be remiss if I didn't also say that the Italian Air Force has really come out to this pitch black in really strong numbers. And the attitude, the friendship that they're bringing here, and just to work, they're an absolute joy to work with this year.
I don't think it's a coincidence that during the Italian display for the Italian Navy and of course now the Italian Air Force, the Italian Navy frigate has moved in a bit closer.
Yeah, look, this. I think there's some friendly inter-service rivalry at play here, but I don't think there's anyone that you'd be arguing that one should be here over the other. It's fantastic having both of them here this year.
And of course in the distance you do have the Italian Navy frigate, the Alpino, which is out in the bay at the moment. And that is the Italian Air Force here at Mindil Beach today.
It's a nice backdrop out there with the frigate. Normally we're used to seeing some of the tennies and other small yachts coming out here at Mindil Beach. The frigate is certainly an interesting addition to the backdrop here.
I think Wongi should answer that.
I know what you mean. It sounds like it's sucking the air at the side of it.
All right, we are moments away from our next lot of aircraft from the RAAF. They'll be joining us very shortly. Soon we'll have aircraft from Thailand, from the UK and even South Korea. And of course our mates from India as well.
That's what I feel, and that's what I view when that's happening. It's an incredible display. We've seen some pretty fabulous manoeuvres. I've ducked once. When am I going to duck again, Peter?
I don't know if you're here.
All right, you'll see it just in the distance coming through from the right. We have the RAAF Wedgetail, which is very much our airborne electronic warning of choice, and here to support pitch black from Williamtown at 2 Squadron. The E7A with its distinctive top hat MESA radar.
If you look really closely to it,
Essentially, it's a Boeing 737 with the MESA radar put on the back, and it operates with a crew of 2 pilots, 10 in the back, and the E7A has been employed on exercises and operations since it was first introduced in service back in late 2009.
737 BBJ Boeing business jet aircraft. Okay, now when it rolls wings level, have a look on top and what you might...
So you'll see that MESA radar on top as it comes past now. It really is an amazing capability. A very modern command and control platform and can provide surveillance and control over a wide area. It can operate unrefueled for over 8 hours, but can refuel mid-air as well, and has achieved a record of over 17 hours when deployed on Operation Okra in the Middle East. So it is a pretty spectacular aircraft that the RAAF operate. Very soon we're going to meet the pilots Goof and Silk. They'll be coming through from the Royal Australian Air Force's number 3 Squadron. And of course, thanks for joining us on the Royal Australian Air Force live stream today. Don't forget you can catch a lot of exclusive content on our social media pages. Social media like Facebook, just look up Royal Australian Air Force, and then on Instagram at Oz Air Force, and that's AUS Air Force. And you'll get all of that exclusive content. Coming in from the right, Cobra. It's our F-35A Lightning II. So get yourself ready for a little noise here today. The Lockheed Martin F-35A showing off its incredible power and manoeuvrability. Of course, using the Pratt & Whitney F135 engine. It's a single seat with a highly sophisticated suite of avionics. The pilot provided superb situational awareness through multiple advanced sensors located around the aircraft. It's a true 5th generation fighter, and the F-35 based at Williamtown and Tyndall in the Northern Territory, just near Katherine. Now, Goof is an exchange officer from the UK. He's a senior pilot and achieved all of his qualifications in Australia during his tour, including Mission Commander. He loves watching England get to the finals across all sports before losing, sadly. And is a firm believer that Johnny Bairstow was fairly dismissed during the Ashes tour of July 2023. And Silk, he came off the first ever Australian operational conversion. Stylish human across all fronts, recently single and looking for love up north apparently. It was literally provided to me just then. It's our 5th generation fighter aircraft, the F-35A Lightning II. Very soon we're going to see aircraft from Thailand, South Korea, England, Singapore, Japan, Indonesia, and of course the United States. As the sun starts to get low in the sky, it's a beautiful day to be watching aircraft here on Mindil Beach. Thousands of people currently situated.
Pleasure of doing it that quickly, but the G-force is incredible when you pull straight up like that. G-force, for people that don't know, is essentially the force of gravity, and you feel it through your body. And when we pull manoeuvres, these guys will be pulling potentially up to about 8G. I need to get an F-35 pilot to confirm that, but I reckon up somewhere around there instantaneously, which means your body all of a sudden weighs 8 times more than it would when you're here. So imagine the weight of your head.
And of course at the moment we're seeing people watching from the United Kingdom, in Japan, Singapore, Newcastle, of course Italy and India, and very soon we'll be joined by a special guest from India as well, where we're going to discuss the weather, and a very good reason why we're doing that a little bit later on.
The G going through your body horizontally was up to 38 G instantaneously, but it's not hurting your organs, it's not pulling them down out of the ribcage.
Yeah, that's right. You often hear Formula One being compared to being fighter pilots. It's a very different G-force that you're experiencing, that acceleration on a roller coaster or around a corner when you're in a sports car or a Formula One car. These pilots are experiencing G through the top of their head, straight down their spine.
Now of course the aircraft are taking off from RAF Base Darwin. They're moving into the loop, so we see them come in from the north, they circle the bay, do an orbit, then they head down towards the south. But there will be a couple of very special displays coming up coming up shortly, with aircraft like the FA-18F Super Hornet, who'll do its full display at the end of the show here today.
As you can see by on your head, what an example, goodness me. He's also brewed his own beer, by the way, and more importantly. And pulling G is very tiring, it's very fatiguing. When you're doing pilot course or instructing as an instructor, 3 or 4 sorties in a day, you earn your money, very tiring.
What's a sortie?
A sortie is a flight, take-off to landing. Yeah. And for a student, every sortie is very stressful, lots of study and preparation.
That's right, so it is very fatiguing, but we train you how to do that. Boys and girls, if you want to become a pilot in the Royal Australian Air Force, you can head up the hill and see Defence Force recruiting or ADF careers, or ring up 13-1901 and they'll talk you through it. And we've got some of the best instructors in the world that can teach you how to your body to withstand that G-force as you're going.
How did you know?
And of course here today you can, if you think you'd like to have a career in the Royal Australian Air Force, all you need to do is go to adfcareers.gov.au. There's a selection of jobs. You might want to be a pilot, you might want to be a weapons systems officer. You could be a chef, a physical training instructor, or a maintainer on the aircraft as well. So there's plenty of opportunities and plenty of careers to choose from. And you'll get to work on some of the aircraft that you see here today and be part of exercises like Pitch Black 2024. So it's a great avenue, particularly if you're going through high school and it's something that you're interested in, seeing the aircraft here today. There are some really great opportunities through the Air Force. And coming in from the right, we have the Royal Thai Air Force here today, and we're seeing the Thai Gripen fighters.
These are the Gripens, full-time sharks from Thailand.
Now you might think the Gripen looks a bit like the Typhoon. Well, it looks a little bit similar, but the Gripen is a multi-role fighter manufactured by Swedish aerospace company Saab. Now, Thailand currently has 12 Gripen, and they're looking to expand that to 24 over the next few years to replace the aging F-16. So we're seeing it come through and do its rotation and orbit here today.
To 24 over the next 4 years to replace.
It's another special year for Pitch Black. It's the 20th anniversary of Thailand coming to the exercise. They came here with F-16s in 2004 for the first time. And in 2014 started bringing their Gripens to the exercise. So it's fantastic to see them back again this year with the Gripens.
And a canard, again, what exactly is that?
front there, so you can see the aircraft.
And something, if you want to join us in the comments, drop us a message and tell us where you're watching from. We'd also love to hear your favourite aircraft and what you're looking forward to seeing here at the Mindil Beach display here this afternoon. So jump in the comments, let us know, and we'll give you a bit of a shout out on the live stream with the Royal Australian Air Force.
Talking about favourite aircraft, I think that Harrier is going to be very hard to top, but it's going to get a pretty serious contender by something from India very shortly.
I do have to ask you, Eamon, what is your favourite aircraft?
A Hercules, of course.
You've done a lot of flying in Hercules over the years, haven't you?
I've done a lot of flying as a passenger in a Hercules.
The Hercules obviously operated by number 37 Squadron down in RAF Base Richmond. We're just moments away. In fact, we can see them coming through in the distance. The Royal Air Force from the United Kingdom.
You cast your eyes the same place that all the aircraft have been arriving from, that 2 o'clock position or crowd right. We've got another mixed formation.
And today they're bringing through the RAF Voyager and 2 of the Typhoons, which are an absolutely spectacular aircraft. The Voyager is the RAF's sole air-to-air refuelling tanker, also operates as a strategic air transport. Now the aircraft is in service as the Voyager KC Mk2, equipped with 2 underwing pods for refuelling fast jets, as well as the Voyager KC Mark III with an additional centerline hose for use by large aircraft. It's operated by 10 and 101 squadrons, both based at in the UK.
So UK, or sorry, I should say the Royal Air Force came to the exercise for the first time in 1998, and since then they've brought a pretty big variety of aircraft to the exercise. Tornadoes, VC-10s, Hercules, and for the last 2 pitch blacks, the Typhoon and the MRTT.
And you would have seen the Typhoon there as well. It is a highly capable and extremely agile multi-role combat aircraft. It's capable of being deployed for the full spectrum of air operations, including air policing, peace support, and high-intensity conflict. Initially deployed in the air-to-air role as the Typhoon F Mark II, the aircraft now has a potent precision multi-role capability as the FGR-4. The pilot performs many essential functions through the aircraft's hands-on throttle and stick, or HOTAS, the interface which, combined with an advanced cockpit and the helmet equipment assembly, renders the Typhoon superbly equipped for all aspects of air operations, and it's a pretty spectacular aircraft to see flying over Darwin here today.
I might have to consult Google Earth, but I have an idea that the Royal Air Force is the country that travelled the longest distance to get here. So anyone in the comments who can jump on Google Earth or Google Maps and fact check that for us, it'd be greatly appreciated.
The latest news and information, and then back here down on Mindil Beach.
It's great having the Royal Air Force here today, and of course they've got people from firefighters through to many other operational support roles here at Exercise Pitch Black, both here at RAF Base Darwin, RAF Base Tyndall, and of course RAF Base Amberley as well.
We are about to see
Very shortly we're going to see the Republic of Korea Air Force who are joining us here today, and they'll be bringing in their F-15K Slam Eagle.
So it's the Republic of Korea's second time at Pitch Black. They came 2 years ago with the KF-16s and the KC-330, very similar to our MRTT. This year they've come back with the F-15K Slam Eagle, and it's fantastic to see them here.
Only recently, a little earlier this year, there was the Singapore Air Show, which the Royal Australian Air Force Roulettes took part in, and there was a very spectacular display from an F-15K Slam Eagle, and it's going to be great seeing them here off Mindil Beach doing a fly past this afternoon.
For anyone that was at Avalon Air Show last year, I think, the Republic of Korea Air Force brought their Black Eagles aerobatic team to Australia, flying the T-50 from memory, very similar to what the Philippines has brought to the exercise this year.
In a moment, 3 F-15Ks will approach you from your right, wishing for a successful 24 pitch black exercise. So get ready to have a big clap and a big holler, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, very shortly we're going to be introducing the flight lead Argos from the Republic of Korea Air Force. They'll be bringing in their F-15K Slam Eagles. His call sign, Argos, is named after the giant from Greek mythology, which has 100 eyes. He was given that name because he confidently said nozzle closed normal without checking the status, as if he's got eyes in his back. So today's aircraft, the F-15K, has the capabilities of maximum speed with Mach 2.5 and an operational range of up to 1,800 kilometres, and here they are. Can we present to you the F-15K Slam Eagle? And a nice little roll there. The flight leader Argos. A little wave of the wings.
There is a round of applause going around Mindil Beach. There's a lot of people with smiles on their face, and judging by that flight past, I reckon the aircrew had some pretty big smiles on their faces as well. That was stunning.
Quite a beautiful sight there, seeing the 3 Slam Eagles come through.
It's just, I mean, the F-15 is...
It's iconic.
The design is over 50 years old. They just keep coming back to it and adding to it and building something new to it. It's just still such a breathtaking aircraft when you see it in this sort of environment.
And a message just came through there. They want to say hello to everyone who made the exercise possible as well. So that was from Argos, the flight lead.
Good on him. It's great to have you here, Argos.
Very shortly, we're going to be seeing our friends from the Republic of Singapore Air Force joining us. And of course, the Japan Air Self-Defense Force as well.
I can say with a reasonable amount of confidence that it wouldn't quite be pitch black, or pitch black wouldn't quite be the same without the Republic of Singapore Air Force. They have been at every iteration of this exercise since 1990. So it's not just great to have them here. It's you know, I think they're part of the fabric of pitch black now.
And here they come from the right, flying past, and this is from the Republic of Singapore Air Force. Their F-15 SG and the F-16 fighter aircraft, both all-weather multi-role fighters with air-to-air and air-to-surface combat capabilities, and equipped with advanced avionics for their pilots' navigation and situational awareness. And the Republic of Singapore have dropped us a note to say they're happy to have this opportunity to fly here in Darwin to maintain our close and long-standing defence relations with Australia. Thank you for having us, they've said, and it's absolutely our pleasure, and we look forward to many more pitch blacks with our mates from the Republic of Singapore Air Force.
They've brought so many iconic aircraft to this exercise, obviously now with the F-15, the F-16, the MRTT and the G550, but you know, back in the 90s with the F-5, the E-2 Hawkeye and the A-4 Skyhawk. If you go on Google and look up the Singaporean A-4 Skyhawks, you might be able to see some of the photos of them at the exercise in the 90s, and like I said, they are a part of the fabric of this exercise now.
Now, you were asking about some of the favourite aircraft that have been popping up in the comments. We've got the F-22 Raptor, the F-35A, a Super Hornet. Have to admit that's one of my favourites. The Typhoon, which we've seen here today as well. Where are our mobility fans? You know.
Big shout out to our air mobility fans out there. The A400 was representing earlier on in display. I don't think there's space in the program this year for a C-130, but they're out there keeping it real as always.
And we've got plenty of fans from the Philippines in the comments watching today as well on the live stream. It's great to have all our mates from all around the world watching today. And of course, you can get more of that exclusive content on our social media pages, the Royal Australian Air Force and at AUS Air Force for our Instagram page as well. So make sure you join up, hit a like, comment in our stuff and make sure you share, because we've got some spectacular photos and video of what's happening here at Exercise Pitch Black 2024. Very soon we're going to have our friends from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. I was lucky enough, Eamon, the other day to go flying in a KC-30 multi-role tanker transport while we were refueling the F-2s. And it was a pretty spectacular sight just on sunset to see them coming in metres from the wing of the aircraft.
Yeah, look, just off the back of that Singaporean F-16 display, and with the Japanese about to come through with the F-2, which is a kind of a variant of the F-16. Bit of trivia, the F-16 is actually the fighter aircraft that the most number of air forces have brought to this exercise. I'll have to look at the answer. Someone might be able to correct me in the comments, but I think about 7 countries have brought the F-16 to Exercise Pitch Black.
And right now, as the sun begins to get closer to the horizon, it's a beautiful backdrop with the Italian Navy frigate here in the backdrop, just looking fantastic. It's beautiful weather this afternoon. We're going to find out a little bit more about the weather with our mates from the Indian Air Force very shortly. Here come the Japanese F-2 fighters. So these aircraft today flown by Flying Officer Takezawa and Flight Lieutenant Takashimi from the 8th Air Wing at Tsuki Air Base. The F-2 was jointly developed by Japan and the US and combined superior technology to adapt to the concept of Japanese operations and geographical characteristics. Now the F-2 is similar in many ways, as Eamon was saying, to the F-16, which it was based, but it's a slightly larger aircraft. It's great having our mates from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force here today. And of course the airspace here in the Northern Territory where we're conducting Exercise Pitch Black, much bigger than what they would ordinarily be able to fly in. So it's great to have them here, and I know they're thoroughly enjoying being part of Exercise Pitch Black. And we saw some of the multi-role and interoperability that we have with our other nations, with one of our 33 Squadron Royal Australian Air Force multi-role tanker transports being able to refuel the F-2s from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. And that's the great thing about Exercise Pitch Black, is it shows how well we can work with our mates from overseas.
Down on the beach, the Japanese fighter jets just making another pass through the sky. We've had during the news the Singaporean F-16 Falcon and F-15 Eagle. And there was some conversation a little bit earlier.
So up next we're going to see members of the Indonesian Air Force, and they're going to be bringing a couple of F-16 C&D models through, which is always great to see the F-16. It's an iconic aircraft. We've seen it in many TV shows, movies, but it's going to be live here on Mindil Beach in Darwin in the Northern Territory, Australia.
I think they might actually have a couple of A and B models here at the exercise, and I think looking into the sun, it might be a little bit difficult for us to spot the difference between an A, B, C and D, but it's fantastic seeing them back at the exercise. They came for the first time with flankers in 2012, and then came back again in 2016, and have been at the exercise for subsequent iterations since 2016 with the F-16, and it's fantastic having them back here again this year.
And the great thing about the F-16, it's capable of Mach 2. And up to 9G, and a lot of people have been asking what a G is, and we're going to explain it a little bit more with the Super Hornet display. You'll see a number of different manoeuvres a little bit later on from the Royal Australian Air Force, where we'll kind of describe exactly how that works. And here they come right now, the Indonesian Air Force. Now they're from the 3rd Air Wing, and what we see here is a couple of Indonesian F-16 C&D models based in Indonesia. They are Block 52 with the APG-68 radar, the data link and the advanced avionics. And like I said, capable of Mach 2, so quite a fast aircraft, and up to 9G, and a formidable jet, and are still used worldwide by a number of air forces around the world.
That's right. We've also seen past Pitch Blacks, F-16s from the United States, from Thailand. I'm I'm probably missing one out that's slipped my memory. Someone might correct me in the comments, but this year we're seeing them from Indonesia, Singapore, and the F2, which is a kind of a variant of the F16. Someone might be able to jump in the comments and tell us the difference between an F2 and an F16. And the F2 is from Japan, of course.
And in the comments, we're seeing a lot of Indian Air Force fans. And joining me right now is Wing Commander Shahnawaz from the Indian Air Force. Now, you're a Met officer, so you deal with the weather.
Yes, I do deal with weather, and it's pretty good weather over here for the flying over and the fly past. It's perfect.
So, you know, coming over here from India and seeing a display like this with the sunset and, you know, very little wind, you know, being a meteorologist, what are your thoughts on the weather here today?
It's perfect. The sunset is being all the more perfect because of the fly past, the winds are perfect, the visibility is just clear. So it's very good for all the audience to just see and enjoy, take pictures obviously.
And we're seeing, as I said, a lot of Indian Air Force fans in the comments as well. A lot of people back home for you watching the live stream and enjoying what they're seeing here today already.
Yes, I met a few Indians over here and they were all excited to see us and the aircraft, so many. So they were all excited.
So you've got the Su-30 flanker that'll be joining us here today.
Yes, they are coming in a big formation and they'll be joining us from the right. So that's why we're waiting.
So it's still a couple of minutes away. So let's talk about your job, for instance. So you obviously deal a lot with aircrew, you know.
We deal with the weather in which they are going to fly in, since India is the country wherein we have different weathers over to the north, south, east. So we deal with all the weather they are going to face, what are the winds they're going to face, what level, what icing, what turbulence they're going to see. So that's what we deal with. We forecast that.
How would the weather, say in India, differ to what we're seeing here in Darwin, particularly during exercise Pitch Black?
This is actually your cold weather. What we are coming from is hot weather. It's humid, it's raining. It's perfect weather for a flying over here. Across, while we were coming, we had bad weather patches, but now here it's perfect. Even the winds, it's perfect here.
And how have you been enjoying, you know, the hospitality and?
It's very good. You should come and see the DAP accommodation, the base, the Darwin base. It's good.
And the food, have you been enjoying the food?
Yes.
I think that's an important part.
Yes, it is a very important part and I'm enjoying that too.
Well, we look forward to seeing your aircraft joining us in just a few minutes. As I said, we'll be seeing some of your Su-30 flankers. And I know some people have already said, you know, they've seen the aircraft flying around on exercise Pitch Black, and it's a pretty interesting aircraft to look at, pretty spectacular at what it does.
We've been flying these aircraft for almost 20 years. Twin-seater engine, multi-role aircraft with tanker, with all this. It's all the more maneuverable, and that is what we are going to see from the right.
And here they come.
There they come.
I think we've got a few fans here. They're quite distinctive looking, particularly with the tail.
It's done. Done. Take it.
Well, thank you for joining us here today. It's great having the Indian Air Force here. Enjoy your time on exercise Pitch Black, and we'll see you soon.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of fans of the Su-30 flankers here at exercise Pitch Black on the Mindil Beach flying display today.
I think there was quite a number of people on the beach here today that were a little bit excited to see the flanker make its appearance.
And it is a unique aircraft, particularly with the tail. It really is iconic.
Everyone who goes out and sees it at this exercise or gets to walk around it or even sees it taking off and flying in the circuit comes back and says, you know, it's so big, or it just looks so different, or sounds so different. You hear them on the ground when they're taking off, and they just don't sound like anything else at this exercise.
And it really is a large aircraft compared to what you'd see a lot of fighter jets. It's an all-weather, long-range fighter, very capable. and masterful at aerial combat. I think that's what it's best probably known for.
Yeah, and it's sharing a flight line at this exercise with F-16s, with FA-50s, with FA-18Ds, and it just throws that size really into proportion that it's such a big jet, but at the same time, just so incredibly manoeuvrable.
And I really, with the sunset that's, slowly happening, we're going to see some really spectacular pictures of the remaining aircraft here today, and also some amazing videos. So make sure you follow our socials, check up the hashtags, and you'll see some really amazing photos, I think, today of the aircraft on display.
I saw the sun. I caught the sun off one of those flankers, and I reckon there's going to be some pretty awesome photos popping up on social media over the next couple of days.
I think here he comes. It's a fan favourite. Here it is from the United States Air Force, the F-22 Raptor. Now, of course, the Raptor, it's a combination of stealth, supercruise, manoeuvrability and integrated avionics coupled with improved supportability. It represents an exponential leap in warfighting capabilities. It is quite an amazing aircraft and really was a leap into the 21st century for the United States Air Force.
And again, just nothing else quite like it here at this exercise or anywhere else in the world. The F-35 built for a very similar sort of generational role, but also doing a very different role unto itself. The Raptor is certainly very unique in some respects.
And if you've ever been to an air show like Avalon, where you see the F-22 display team, it really is a spectacular show. I can't speak highly enough of what they do.
That's right. They're just doing a couple of flybys today. In fact, I think they've gone just out of our sight, but I think most of the crowd here are keeping a pretty good eye on them. But you're right, Hinksy. Anyone who's seen these things at Avalon, look, your eyes can't. You don't believe your eyes what you're seeing.
It's absolutely amazing, especially when they do a couple of moves and it looks like they're just floating in midair. It is just an absolutely amazing display that they do. So if you ever get the chance to see the F-22 display team from the United States Air Force, do yourself a favour and make sure you check that one out.
Yeah, look, obviously not their first time in Australia, not their first time in the Northern Territory, but it is in fact their first time at Pitch Black. So they were out here 2 years ago conducting other training with the RAF during Pitch Black, but weren't actually in the exercise. This year around, they are part of the Pitch Black brand.
Now we have one more display for you this afternoon, and it is a display from the Royal Australian Air Force. So I'm looking forward to this. It's something that I have a very close personal relationship with, is the Super Hornet display team. We've been working together with their display since Avalon, and it really is a spectacular display that they put together.
I've been able to tell for the last 90 minutes that you're just a little bit excited to see the Super Hornet.
I've seen this display so many times, but I never get sick of it. It is an amazing display.
More of a growler man myself, but the Super Hornet is good too, I guess.
Well, we're going to see a couple of 6th Squadron growlers as well, the EA-18G growlers. Of course, they're a slightly different variant, being electronic attack, but we'll see them come through in a formation of 4. We'll see 4 jets flying through before Woody and Langers will come back and do their aerial display, and I tell you what, you're in for a bit of a treat, particularly with the sun setting and flares going off. You're going to see some really good stuff.
And when the display started 90 minutes ago, I didn't think you could get more people on this beach, but there are somehow more people here now than there were when we started. It's great to see them all here.
Thousands of people on Mindil Beach right now. It is going to be an amazing display. We are only minutes away. In fact, in the distance, I believe they're coming through.
We've got 2 rhinos.
And on behalf of 82 Wing, we are proud to be here demonstrating our beloved 1 Squadron FA-18F Super Hornet, aka the Rhino, and the 6th Squadron EA-18G Growler. In a nice tight formation there, both the Rhino and the Growler operate out of RAF Base Amberley in southeast Queensland. So for those of you that haven't had the opportunity to see them flying, you are in for an absolute treat here this afternoon. Right now, you would have just seen coming through both types with the Super Hornet in the lead. Now, while both jets might look very similar, the Growler is a variant of the combat-proven Super Hornet with a number of differences which make it a sophisticated electronic warfare aircraft. It's capable of jamming a broad range of electronic systems, including radars and communications. And as the jets fly past, you would have seen the Growler's configuration, which includes 3 jamming pods, 2 anti-radiation missiles, and 2 receiver pods on the wingtips.
Next we have a Rhino
So we are moments away now from Woody and Langers coming through and giving us a handling display of how the Rhino operates the FA-18F Super Hornet. So putting the jet through its paces today with high G-forces and near supersonic speeds. The pilot Woody, and in the back seat is the Weapons Systems Officer Langers, both instructors at one squadron's training unit, and together have over 2,000 hours of experience in the Super Hornet. So keep your eyes peeled. We should see them approaching from the right very shortly. They're going to be descending low level and accelerating to speeds of up to 1,100 kilometres per hour. And to achieve these near supersonic speeds, the Rhino's engines together produce more than 60,000 horsepower, which is the equivalent of 60 Formula One cars. So they'll be coming in from the right. I was talking to Woody and Langers last night, and they are very excited about today's display.
I think the F-35 set a very high bar 2 years ago, and I think the Super Hornet is going to pick up the challenge this year.
Well, we are seconds away from them coming through. Keep your eyes peeled.
I think an actual hush has fallen over the beach.
Well, they know this is an exciting part of the day. Our finale with the RAAF No. 1 Squadron FA-18F Super Hornet, the Rhino from Rough Base Amberley.
Trying to estimate the crowd here.
You're going to think I see something crowd right?
While we wait in here, don't forget to sound off in the comments about where you're watching us here from today. We've got 20 countries at this pitch black, but we'd love to know where you're joining us from.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, eyes right. Here comes the Super Hornet. There we go, that's Woody and Langers with their high-speed entry. Now, right now, the crew is washing off all that speed as they launch into the sky before pulling the jet inverted back towards the ground. And there we go. Some flares from Langers in the back seat. Right now, they're pulling over 6 Gs, and you would have seen a bit of vapour, which is caused by pressure changes over the aerodynamic surfaces, literally squeezing the moisture from the air. It's what we call ecto.
And they fire those flares to seduce homing missiles after them.
All right, as they come back down, Woody and Langers want to show you that the Rhino has incredible nose authority and it can give us the edge in aerial combat. More flares there from Langers. You'll see how they can point the nose wherever they desire at almost any speed, this time floating in their harnesses under negative G. We call that the turbo nose down. Now, we would have seen the flares there dispensed from the jet from Langers in the back seat, used in combat to defend against hostile heat-seeking and infrared missiles. And a little roll there from Woody as he goes through.
For everyone out there with the camera there today, just make sure you share those photos with us in the coming days ahead, just so that we can see what it was like.
Yeah, you can tag us in any time on Instagram at Oz Air Force, Royal Australian Air Force. Whilst people think that's it, there's more to come. Woody's now setting up the barreling flat plate manoeuvre, and not that we'd ever consider quoting Top Gun, but this is the Super Hornet equivalent of I'm going to hit the brakes and he'll fly right by. So eyes right and keep an eye out.
I'm going to hit the brakes and fly right by. This is our Super Hornet.
So you'll see him coming in fast from the right, and you'll see the Rhino, what will appear to skid to a halt, a technique we can use to flush out an adversary. So they move in front of us to gain the offensive. With some more flares there from Langers in the back seat. There we go. It takes years of training and hard work to get to fly one of these jets, but look at Woody and Langers. Want you to know they were once regular kids who had a passion for flight, and that with a good work ethic and drive they achieved their goal, and here they are flying today. So if you think you might be interested in a career as a fighter jet or a pilot or a weapons systems officer, you can check out the Defence Recruiting website, which is adfcareers.gov.au, and you could get yourself into the cockpit of a Rhino or Growler. Now, we've had a question, how did Woody get the name Woody? His last name's Wood, and in the typical Australian fashion, we throw a Y or an O, and Langers, his nickname comes from his last name being Langlands. Now, the Super Hornet has one of the smallest and tightest turn circles of any modern fighter aircraft. Now, you're about to see the maximum performance turn. With a radius of only 500 metres. Now, Woody and Langers right now are sustaining over 7 Gs, fighting hard against gravity to stay conscious as it forces all the blood from their heads to make them feel like they weigh over half a tonne each. And a beautiful display at sunset here today, and a nice little loop roll there from Woody.
One of the characteristics the Super Hornet brings over from its origins as the Legacy Hornet, those big, long extension flying surfaces ahead of the wing, the control surfaces, all sort of built to get Hornets and Super Hornets back onto aircraft carriers, but also things that just make them so great at maneuverability.
And talking of manoeuvrability, the next thing that we're going to be seeing is exactly how manoeuvrable the Rhino can be. We're going to see a rapid 360-degree aileron roll before they pull into the vertical and finish with a pirouette. They'll be coming through from the right. The pirouette, it's a highly delicate manoeuvre performed by the Rhino, allowing it to rapidly yaw its nose at a higher angle of attack. So watch for that after the aileron roll. Now, as Woody pulls the jet back towards the Earth, the jet will then begin spiralling like a flat plate through almost 500 degrees of turn. With a few more flares there from Langers in the back seat. Now, the Rhino is just as lethal at high speeds as it is at slow speeds. Now, with a top speed of over Mach 1.6 or 2,000 kilometres an hour, the Super Hornet can quickly move into a defended area, strike its target and egress while maintaining that element of surprise. So keep an eye out. Once again, the Rhino will be accelerated to over 1,100 kilometres per hour for the high-speed pass.
1.6 times the speed of sound. You can move pretty quickly into a defended area. This thing can strike its target egress while maintaining the element of surprise.
And I'll tell you what, you're going to see some spectacular video and pictures of this over the coming days with that beautiful sunset here at Mindil Beach, the backdrop of the Alpino, the Italian naval frigate who've joined us here with the Cavour.
And not just at Mindil Beach, you'll also see photos from a lot of people around RAF Base Darwin over the last week and over the next 2 weeks as the exercise kicks into its night flying phase from Monday.
Now, the Rhino is just as lethal at high speeds as it is at slow speeds. Now, with to contrast that high speed, Woody and Langers are now going to fly past at slow speeds. They'll be travelling at less than 110 knots or about 200 kilometres per hour, which might get you booked on one of the highways, but here not so much at Mindil Beach this afternoon. You'll see the nose pointing 25 degrees higher than the aircraft's direction of travel. That's known as the angle of attack. And the Super Hornet's capable of up to 50 degrees angle of attack in a dogfight. And this slow speed performance, just another one of the capabilities that make the Rhino such an intimidating aircraft to fight against. And it's a great opportunity to really see the weapons loadout and what the aircraft has under the wings as it flies past slow speed here at Mindil Beach this afternoon.
50 degrees angle of attack. The angle of attack is basically the angle between the relative airflow and the wing.
So you might see with the weapons loadout, which includes 2 long-range radar-guided missiles on the wing pylons, you could see 2 heat-seeking missiles on the wingtips as well. They also carry an internal 20mm cannon that fires at 100 rounds per second. Now you'll see as they pass crowd centre, Langers punches out a few more flares. And keep an eye at the orange plumes as Woody plugs the burners and accelerates away into the climb. So right now fuel's being injected straight into the exhaust of each engine, and at that current fuel burn, the boys will use all of their 7,000 litres of fuel in just over 7 minutes.
Of course, one of the challenges at Exercise Pitch Black is making sure that it's such a big airspace to go out and fly the mission in that you've got enough fuel and you can meet up with the tanker in the right spot to get the fuel that you need to go back home.
All right, now we're about to see the square loop, and as the name suggests, they fly in a loop consisting of a 6G pull into the vertical, inverted flight for 10 seconds, and a high alpha pull to 90 degrees nose down, where they'll recover again. So right now they're pulling into the inverted flight. And a few more flares from Langer in the back seat. Of course, he is our weapons systems officer, and just one of the streams you can join the Air Force, adfcareers.gov.au, so make sure you go and check that out.
Yeah, of course, all of our Super Hornets are the 2-seat variant, the F model. The E model that you might have seen Maverick flying in Top Gun is single seat. All of ours are 2-seat, and it's just got such an incredibly diverse array of strike roles that it can perform. Guided munitions, similar to what it conducted in the Middle East in recent years, but also long-range strike as well.
Now, the Rhino is an incredible aircraft to fly. The state-of-the-art flight controls really help produce manoeuvres you never thought were possible at altitudes as low as 50 metres off the ground. Now, this agility helps complement the Rhino's incredible radar, networked avionics, extended combat range and lethal weapons loadout. 82 Wing and its members are some of the most combat-capable and combat-ready assets for the ADF in protection of Australia, its borders and national interests. We'd like to thank you, the community, for our support as we do our duties. So please look as we look straight on as the boys accelerate towards you. They're going to light the burners and climb away into the vertical in the blink of an eye.
They're going to go to about 15,000 feet.
So during this manoeuvre, you're going to see the team straining all of their muscles as the G-forces crush them back into their seats. About 6G. Right there, the Super Hornet accelerating skyward. The crew will reach 15,000 feet in less than 20 seconds, and if necessary, the Rhino can go as high as 50,000 feet, or roughly twice the height of Mount Everest. So on behalf of the Officer Commanding 82 Wing Group Captain Paul Jarvis, Woody Langers and all of the aviators at 82 Wing, we hope you enjoyed that brief demonstration of the Rhino's capabilities, but hang about because in just a couple of moments they're going to do one last fly past for their sunset photo opportunity here at Mindil Beach this afternoon. There have been some spectacular displays, and we want to thank all of the nations that have provided aircraft and showcased the capabilities here at Mindil Beach this afternoon as the sun sets with a beautiful sunset and the FA-18F Super Hornet from one squadron about to come past for one last time.
Describing as what we just witnessed as he went vertical, he went straight up into the air. How fast was that?
So, Eamon, a pretty tough choice there for a favourite with all the different displays here at Mindil Beach this afternoon.
I'll have to go to the judges, but I think I think there was a pretty big smile on my face when the Harrier did its display. It's been 30 years since we saw a Harrier last at Pitch Black. I don't know if we'll see one again at the next one, but certainly I think it made a lot of people pretty happy this year.
Well, that brings our Royal Australian Air Force live stream of the Mindil Beach flying display to a close. We'd like to thank you to all of the nations that took part today, both on the ground and in the air. Also, thanks to the Royal Australian Air Force Air Shows team and the 464 Squadron broadcast team for their work in what was our very first live stream of the Mindil Beach flying display, right here in the Northern Territory for Exercise Pitch Black 2024. I'm Flight Lieutenant Greg Hinks. Thank you so much for watching this afternoon, and make sure you keep an eye on the Royal Australian Air Force Facebook and Instagram pages for more exclusive Black 2024.